Are you living a life more or less good, but you feel you're missing out on something? Or you're not living to your fullest potential because it's so cozy in your comfort zone and everything seems to be okay? Then watch out. One day you might wake up and regret that you didn't take action earlier and created not just a good life, but one full of purpose and abundance. In this video, I will show you how to step out of your comfort zone and how to embrace adventure and the unknown to design a life that is really worth living. And I will share with you my story of how I made the shift from a successful life, how I overcame my limiting beliefs and now live life on my own terms. And together we will learn why we need not only to improve, but to transform ourselves constantly to always create the best versions of ourselves and to discover and follow our own definition of success. So let's jump into it and let me first tell you my story. All my life I was successful. I had a good job, I made a career, I had a family, a house, and I was traveling the world. But something was missing. Deep inside, I didn't really feel fulfilled. Now, I was always good at setting and achieving my goals. But more and more, I felt empty after such achievements. And I always thought my goals are in alignment with my value and my belief system. But today I know that was not entirely correct. I thought I knew what my values and my purpose are. But my value system was diluted and biased by all the external noise that is always around us. By the opinions and definitions that we hear constantly on social media, from our friends and families, and from the rest of our social environment. In our society, there are some more or less clear definitions about what is a successful life and what is an ethically correct value system. And we are all, to a higher or lower degree, adopting such definitions and making them our own. For me, it was during the pandemic when I ultimately reached that point where I said, okay, I don't want to live this life anymore and we have to make a radical change. So together with my family, we decided to sell all our belongings and we went on a travel adventure looking for a new home. We took a flight to Mexico and we traveled here almost for a year and finally we found a city where we really like it and we decided to stay here. Aside that, I also started to question my own values and beliefs and I dig deeper into my own mental and emotional rabbit hole. And that was the important step. I started to seek the answers within myself and to check what is really my purpose and what is really my truth, my reality. And that is actually where change and transformation starts. Now, let's quickly define some terms that we will use in this context of personal growth. There are three principal concepts how you can change and improve yourself. The first concept we want to talk about is information. Now, information is available everywhere. I would say today there's no lack of information. Information can become your knowledge. You can study it, you can collect it, and if you own more information and more data, it can help you to get a wider perspective and a greater portfolio of tools and methods that you can use, that you can benefit from when making decisions. Or it helps you to act in a certain way. However, information is nothing, it is useless without implementation. Implementation is when you act based on your knowledge and on your experience, and when you constantly try out what works for you and what doesn't. Because as mentioned, there's such an abundance of information today, and there are so many ways that work and methods that can be useful, but you need to choose the combination that is right for you and that works for you. You need to build and equip your own toolbox that helps you to achieve your individual goals. Just because something worked for someone at some time, it doesn't mean that it will work for you today or tomorrow. Because you are different, the time is different, and also our environments are different. To become better, start to act and implement. This is how you learn and grow. Now, if it comes to coaching, today there are two kinds of coaches. There are informational coaches and they're transformational coaches. And we need to understand that these are two fundamentally different concepts. An informational coach will teach you and help you to implement one method, one way of doing a certain thing or becoming better in something. For example, there are coaches that show you how to get in shape, or how to achieve a certain goal, or how to set up a certain sales or marketing strategy. And since they're highly specialized in what they are doing, and they're usually also good motivators, they can help you to reach your goal. A transformational coach and transformational change is something different. They will not provide you any given solution, because the core idea of transformation is that you need to find your own truth and your own solution. Transformation means you leave one state of being, of your identity, and you transform into something different. It means you're becoming something new, something better, with a new mind and a new perspective. And this new mind allows you to tackle your life differently. Usually, when you're working on your own transformation, you don't know what will be the outcome. But you know it will be better and more valuable than the state today. It's like the caterpillar that will transform into a butterfly. If you want to explain the caterpillar how it is to be free as a butterfly, they will not understand, because they don't have the mind to understand it. It is a different being. But still, the caterpillar is on a mission and it will transform, because it is what they're meant to be. And it is not just evolving into something new. No, they have to give up themselves completely and make space for something new and better. And I would encourage you to go also on this journey and to trust that the outcome will be better than you can imagine. Now let me tell you why only transformation can set you free and get you to the life you want and deserve. Let's look at your life as a journey. Let's say there's your ideal life, the place where you want to be. We can call it the destination. This is where we hope our journey will lead us to. And there's where you are today. Let's call it the status quo. Now, most of us are trying to a larger or smaller extent to get to our destination. That can be our business goals, our financial goals, but also our private or relationship goals. And how are we doing that? We're reading all kinds of personal development books and watching the gurus that made it on YouTube or other social media. But still, this doesn't lead us to our destination. Because this knowledge they have and the tools and ideas they provide are just working on your symptoms. The theory behind it is clear and obvious to you. You hear it all the time. Be disciplined, create healthy habits, focus on your goal. But often, it doesn't work for us. Because there are fundamental factors that are holding us back. And if you are working against these fundamentals, this energy is not sustainable. We are dragging against an internal force. And these fundamentals are our core characteristics, our values, our belief system, our identities, and our purpose. So for real transformation to happen and to overcome ourselves and reach our destination, we need to do this deep internal work and find our own truth within ourselves. So how can we start our transformation towards freedom, success, and abundance? The first step is to understand the situation in which we are and to recognize that something needs to change. And with something I actually mean ourselves. And that it is not sufficient to just change a habit, but that we need a fundamental change. To recognize that we're stuck, we start with self-reflection. The question we can ask ourselves is, am I making the progress that I would like to do? Or do I stuck? If you want to become clear whether you're stuck in your life and if you should change it, look for signs like a lack of motivation, repetitive negative thoughts, procrastination, or the feeling that you're not moving forward in your life. And this can be done by increasing your self-awareness and observe your feelings and your behaviors in certain situations. And the best way to get started is disconnect. Yes, Disconnect yourself from media and from external inputs and noise sources. And start to reconnect with yourself. Try to get back to your center. And this doesn't have to be a huge project. I mean, you don't have to hide in the mountains for a few years, completely disconnected, like Zarathustra or the other eremites. Start with small steps. Go for a walk without your phone. Eat dinner without the television on. Focus on the task you're doing in this very moment and make this a daily habit. For me, that was one of the biggest life changes and the one habit that gives me the best answers and confidence. And I promise you, for you it will do the same. Being stuck doesn't always mean that our life is completely miserable and we need to get out of it. More often we face something that I like to call the curse of a good life. I mean, too often our life is not really bad, right? We are not living in terrible pain, we have a roof above us and food and live in some degree of comfort. And that is actually the hardest situation to get out of. Because, good is the enemy of great. Once you understand the need to change, we need to make sure that we get over our individual pain threshold. Because ultimately there are two options competing with each other. Number one is stay where you are, keep the known, and don't risk to lose everything. Number two is get out, embrace the unknown, and jump into a life that is different. And I agree, option two can be quite scary to many people, especially if you are not used to step out of our comfort zone. So we must make sure that our reason to change, our driver, is stronger than our reason to stay where we are. And I think that is where most people fail. Because it is always easier and more secure to stay in our known environment than to jump into some adventures. At least it seems to be. And I like to call that the illusion of a risk-free life. Because from the position where we are at, the known life we have with our job that is paying our bills and our routines that give us at least some pleasure will always look less risky than a life that we can't really predict and that is full of question marks. Is that really true? In the short term, that might be correct. But the problem with that is that you just miss out your life completely. If you fast forward to the end of your life and from there look back, what do you want to see? A risk-free but mediocre life where you worked at a job that you didn't really enjoy, to have a lifestyle that didn't really make you happy. Or a life where you were striving to reach your fullest potential, work on things you love, and ultimately you made a difference and you made your contribution. So actually, the risk of living in your comfort zone is even higher, and this is the risk to have a life that you don't want. So how can you get yourself out of your stagnation and how can you initiate the necessary changes? Now, our life is the result of the decisions we make. And we always make decisions. Even if we try to avoid making decisions because we are afraid of the consequences, we also make a decision. And that is the decision to stay where we are and not to change or to make the change. Our decisions are based and influenced by our subconscious mind. They are affected by our values, our belief system, and our experiences. And if we don't feel good with our decisions, that is usually because they are not in alignment with one or more of these subconscious elements. So the goal for each of us is ultimately to understand ourselves better and to make our decisions based on who we truly are. Before we learn how we can do that, let's quickly define these elements that form our identity. Let's start with values. We all have a set of values of things that are important to us and on which we can make judgments on what is good and what is wrong, and we can live according to that. It seems very obvious that we take our values for granted, but watch out. Usually our values are biased. It is not only what we deeply know about how the world should be. It is also what we hear and learn in our daily lives, from our families, our society, and from media. But not always our true internal values are in alignment with the collective values of our environment. And that can lead to a mental conflict or that we just don't feel good with certain things and we don't really understand why. Our beliefs are our truth, our understanding of the world. And beliefs are the stories we repeatedly hear and tell ourselves and the thoughts we repeatedly have. They ultimately become our reality. Most of our core beliefs are formed in our first years of life, by our parents and by the experiences we make. And beliefs can be positive or negative. They can support our growth or they can hold us back. And our beliefs usually manifest over the years. If we don't work actively on them, we keep them and they become our reality. And the longer we carry them around, the more difficult it is to change them. So if we want to start our transformation process, we need to work actively on our subconscious mind. Becoming aware of our beliefs, understanding our true values, our purpose, and change what doesn't work for us. And again, the starting point for this journey is awareness. Right. Learn how to become aware of yourself. Become aware of your behaviors, of your feelings, and of your thoughts. And this requires practice. But the earlier you start and the more often you remind yourself to be aware, the faster will be your progress. And this is what counts. Progress. A question you can ask yourself honestly is this really what I want? Do I live the life that I want? Or is there anything I can improve to make things better? And we all will find something to improve. As mentioned, it's a journey. There is no destination. So once you have a good understanding on what is missing or what you like to improve, you can ask yourself, what is holding you back from achieving that? I mean, why are you not there yet? And this is usually not because you're missing out on some knowledge or some information, or you don't have the skills to do something. Because these are things you can learn. It is usually rooted in some deep-seated, limiting beliefs that hold you back. Now, if we become aware of these beliefs that hold us back, we can start to change them. As mentioned earlier, our beliefs are just a collection of our stories and experiences. And in consequence, that then means that they can also be replaced by new stories to form better or more supporting beliefs. And this work is the fundament of any transformation. And that is what ultimately leads to breakthroughs in your life. Because you have to get the fundament right. All this superficial motivation work and habit implementation will not work as long as there are fundamental factors holding you back. You have to change your system and not just work on the symptoms. Take me, for example. I was working for many years and I thought I cannot quit my job and start something for myself because I had this belief that I need a paycheck at the end of the month. Otherwise, I would not be able to support my family and feed my kids. That was my limiting belief. Until the pain was so big and I decided that I had to do something. And I changed this belief from running out of money to I will make it work. And I made it work. And that was not something I did in one session. No, it took me time and work and most of all, awareness of myself and what I want. But it was possible. And I believe we can do that with all our beliefs, and we should do that if we really want to serve our purpose. Now, I don't want to leave you without something tangible to get started, so here are 5 actionable tips to start your transformation journey. Number 1, stop consuming and get in action. You don't have to read another personal development book or watch another motivational video. You're just doing that to distract you. Instead, get started now. And as mentioned, the best way to get started is to become aware of yourself. Observe yourself, your feelings, your reactions, your habits, and your behavioral pattern. And remind yourself as often as possible to do that. Number 2, Progress over outcomes. That's an important one. Don't set yourself a huge goal and then don't start because you're afraid you can't reach it. Just get started with something and celebrate every progress and every step you make. In this way, you not only increase the moments you can celebrate, you also take out the scary part of having a big goal. Because the outcome is not so relevant anymore. 3. Become present and centered. Practice mindfulness. Disconnect from all distraction factors and reconnect with yourself. For example, you can install phone or social media 3 times. Don't switch on your cell phone first thing in the morning and check your inbox. Get centered by some breathing, practicing meditation, or go for a walk. 4. Define success for yourself. The more you are aware of yourself, the better you can come up with your own definition of success. And I promise you, your definition will be different than the common one that you hear from your friends or from the influencers on Twitter and Instagram. Clarify what is really important for you and what you want to be proud of. And the last tip, number 5, get help. Why a transformational coach can be so valuable? Well, transformational work is tough. That's why a lot of people don't do it. Because it means that you have to deal with your own ego, with your identities, and with unpleasant memories. And usually it is difficult for ourselves to get so deep in our unconscious mind. Because our internal systems, they try to protect us from getting there. They don't want us to find these things because they're hiding that from us. So a good transformational coach can guide you the way to your deepest self, just by asking the right questions. A coach will ask all the unpleasant questions that you want to avoid. But these, I promise you, these are the most powerful and the ones with the biggest impact on your lives. So with this, we're coming to the end of our video. I hope it was helpful for you and that you enjoyed watching. Let us know what you think or ask your questions below in the comments. I'm happy to hear your thoughts. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel and grow with us in our small supportive community at The Small Reset. See you in the next video.